What's going on? Today we're back with another YouTube video, and I'm gonna show you guys 3 simple setups you guys can do in studio with 3 lights. Let's get straight to it. So for the first setup, we have 3 lights, of course. And the first light I have right here is in Godox 8400 with a strip softbox, which is actually mirrored on the other side. Same light, same modifier, Godox 8400 with the strip softbox. And it's also gridded, which means that the light isn't gonna spill onto the front, or it's not gonna spill onto the backdrop. This light is gridded, so it means that this light, when it comes out, it'll be hitting our model, which will be sitting right here. And then for our main light, we have a Godox 8400 with a 50-inch bronze color softbox. Now, this softbox is more on the pricey side, so I will also include like cheaper alternatives in the bio. You guys don't have to get this modifier for this look, but this is just the one I use because I really value the way the light comes out of the softbox. And then right here to add in some fill, we have a V-flap, but instead of it being, positioned to the side of the model, we actually have it on 2 stools right here, which I really like doing this because it also gives a very soft feel from underneath, and models can also use this as like a posing table, which helps their posing in photos. And that's pretty much the setup we have for today. All right, you guys, so today we have our beautiful model Mahi with us, and I'm gonna go ahead and start shooting so you guys can see how these shots are coming out. So there we go. Perfect, flawless, there we go. There we go, let me get more straight face, more sexy. Reaching up a little bit, there we go, right there, perfect. All right, you guys, so as you can see by these photos, what I was talking to about having these grids on these lights. So as you guys can see, when the light comes out, it's not hitting the backdrop is staying the exact same tone. It's not coming forward and hitting this modifier to bounce back up into her face. What it's doing is just covering this side of her. And I'll show you guys a photo of what it looks like if we cut the key light off and just use these side lights. The reason I have 2 on each side is because I want the rim lights to be even on each of her shoulders. Another thing I did is I set both of these lights to B. So on my trigger, I use a Godox X Pro S trigger. And as you guys can see, I set both of the back lights to B just to make it easier for these lights to be set to the same exposure. If I had it on B and C, I could set it up to have the same exposure levels, but because, I'm trying to have speed on set, I set both of these to B, and then I have my key light set to A. All right, and for my camera settings, I'm shooting in RAW as always. My Kelvin is set to 5600 Kelvin. My ISO is 125. My f-stop is 8. I'm shooting at 1/125th. And my camera of choice is always the Sony a7 IV. And the lens is the Sony 90mm macro f2.8. All right, so you guys, I'm gonna show you what it looks like if we just leave this key light on. As you can see, there's no rim coming from the back. There's still a beautiful photo, but just to give her some extra separation from the back, we can turn these backlights back on. As you guys can see, she's now separated from the background. And if you guys want to see what those rim lights are doing, I'll turn this key light off. You can see how it's just illuminating her left and right shoulder. And just to separate her from the background, which I really like. And then if we turn that key light back on, flawless, as you guys can see. There we go. All right, now let's just get some shots. There we go, perfect. Okay, so now we're on our second setup, and for our main light, we're actually using a 38-inch deep parabolic softbox. And what this is doing is it's pretty much giving us a slight key, but just this light alone will have our image pretty dark and moody, so I wanted to lift the shadows. So that's the reason I have our 50-inch softbox right here. And it's mounted low to the floor because our model will be sitting down. I still wanted something to fill in the shadows, but I didn't want something to give her a double key. So I'll show you guys what this modifier is doing in the photos. And then last but not least, I have my third light, which is our strip softbox again. And this is just to give her a separation from the background, just to kiss a little bit of light over her shoulder, and you guys will see that in the photos. So I want to go a little bit more in depth into what each light is doing. So right here, we have our deep parabolic softbox, and the reason it's feathered off of her is because we want to try to keep the background. And then to fill in some of those shadows that are on her, that's the reason we have this light lower here. And you can see that it's placed underneath because we want to give her a feel from underneath so that we don't have something that's cross keying. And when you have a cross key, you'll get two shadows on each side of their nose, and we don't want that. So we have this light down here, which is filling in the shadows from underneath. And then last but not least, we have our Godox. You have to make sure that you have an egg crate or a grid on your backlight because you want to make sure that this light isn't spilling onto the background or spilling onto anywhere else in the photo. And this is just used to separate her from the backdrop. Perfect. Oh, this is beautiful. Let me see you place one hand. Now sit to the side a little bit more. There we go, and place that other hand. Perfect, there we go. Beautiful. So for my camera settings, my shutter speed is 1/160th. My f-stop is f8.0, and my ISO is 100. And for our main light, this is at 1/32. Our fill light is at 1/64, and our rim light is at 1/64. And another note I want to touch on is the fact that I'm using 3 lights, but I'm still able to keep this set up dark and moody, just to show you guys that 3 lights don't always have to be used to get a clean commercial look like our first look. But if you actually know how to control your lights and set them up and dial them in, you can get very moody, very dramatic lighting. Bring that hand back over your lap one time. Beautiful, there we go, I think that's it. I hope you guys are really enjoying this video, and I created something if you still are having trouble but you want to take your studio photography to the next level. And that's my brand new online guide. I've spent so much time and years mastering studio photography so that you guys don't have to. And I've also made this guide super simple so that anybody in any level of their photography career can understand it. So if you guys are really enjoying this video and you guys really want to take your photography to the next level, make sure you get that in the description below. And let's get back to this video. And for our third and last setup, I decided to go ahead and step in as the model. All right, I'm playing. We have Mahi back as the model, and this is our third and last setup. We have 3 lights, but with a little twist on them. So the only light that's our strobe in this last setup is our backlight. And the reason is because I wanted something very white and very light. So I have the Godox 8400 back here, and it's set all the way down to 1/28th power. And the reason is strobes tend to be a lot brighter than constant lights, so I had to turn this light all the way down to compensate for the other light sources. So right here we're at 1/28th power with our bronze color 50-inch softbox, and right here we have our Nanlite Pavo tube set to red to give it more of a colored, moody feel. And then right here we have our Forza 500B with our projection attachment, and this is set to about 40%. And what this is doing is creating a shape on her face. It's outlining half of her face, and this gives it a very unique look. And if you guys want me to go more in depth on shooting constant lights with strobes, let me know and drop a comment down below. But we're gonna go ahead and get into shooting. I'm gonna show you guys what the photos look like. Look right at the camera, perfect. And just to make sure that you guys get this exact same look, I want to show you guys a couple key points. Number one being that you need to make sure that your softbox is very large. You want to go at least 45 to 50 inches, depending on how tall or how short your subject is. So for the second tip, you can step to the side for me. You guys want to make sure your light is actually double diffused. The reason being because if you didn't have this first layer of diffusion, you get a very punchy light, and for this, you want the backdrop to be all white all over. And for my 2 constant lights, you don't actually need this pavo tube. You can actually use a strobe with a red gel inside of it. I just prefer to use this pavo tube because it's a lot quicker, and I wanted to be able to see my results on set while I'm shooting. And for my last light source with the projector mount, you guys don't actually need this to set this up. You can actually use a traditional strobe with a regular gobo or with a projector mount. I wanted to be able to see my image as I was setting it up. If you guys want to check out my video on where I explain the reasons that I prefer shooting constant light over strobe sometimes, check out my last YouTube video. Thank you guys so much for tuning into today's video. If you guys like what you see, follow me on Instagram at Tommy.4K, and you can follow Mahi on Instagram at
Mahidra Haliesis.
And until next time, thank you. Peace.